Hopefully I'm live. Let's see if I'm live. I got service. Hopefully. I want to talk about a few things. Biden fighting for some kind of hopes in an election year. He's really disliked by everyone. But he just forgave another $6 billion in student debt for public service workers. Apple, the biggest phone technology company in the history of the world. There's no bigger company than Apple, maybe, or Disney's not a tech company. I would say no bigger tech phone company than Apple. And they're being sued by the United States Department of Justice. Good. I don't know if you've ever been on Reddit. I love Reddit. That's where I kind of peruse the news because it's such an eclectic source. Plus, they got funny memes. The Reddit CEO gave himself $193 million in compensation. Do you know Reddit's moderators do it for free? What do you think of that? What else I want to talk about? I think those are the only things we're going to tackle. But before we tackle any of that stuff, welcome to the class war. I'm Rob. Welcome to the struggle. I'm extremely depressed and stressed. It's really wearing down on me, burning me out. I was just telling my brother that. Very short fuse. And it's amazing, when you have a short fuse, it's amazing how many people decide to test that. Just trying to pull out of my street. Some lady beeping behind me. I'm like, there's 4,000 cars going down the road right now. What do you want me to do? Pull out and get hit? Beeping to go nowhere. It's amazing, you know? But usually they quiet down when you go out the window. Like, what? What are you beeping at? You literally want me to pull into traffic? It's surreal. So hit the subscribe button. It's free for you to do. It means the world to me. Everybody who has subscribed, thank you so much. I'm kind of shocked at how many subscribers have joined this family, this community over the past week, especially in like a week where it's just been so horrible and I'm just trying to find a spot to count my blessings. That is one of them. So if you are new to the channel, thank you so much. If you hit the subscribe button, thank you so much. And I encourage you to hit the notification bell so that way if I go live at this time, if I go live at night, if I go live in the morning, you'll be notified. You can join up. And if you're watching this later and you're hitting subscribe, thank you. Even if you don't join the live, I appreciate you. I really do. It's been one of the things, silver lining on some shatty ass storm clouds. And then I want to thank, gotta always be grateful. I gotta thank a few of my friends who have really just carried me through. God is physically and metaphorically, literally everything carrying me through. But God whispers to you in weird ways, and it's through people a lot of the time. Sometimes it's just signs. I found a few pennies, and my mom used to always say, pennies from heaven. And I found a few pennies. I said, thanks, Mom, keeping me aware of it. But my brother, I gotta thank him. Luke, Corinne, Mel. There's a ton of other people that have just shown support. Aggie. I don't know if I want to list all the names because there really are a lot, but there's just so many. So let me just say this. Thank you. If you've reached out to me, if you've helped share a calming word, if you've just been supportive, the emotional support is so vital in a time where, you're just burnt at both ends. So thank you. And I also want to thank my dad for checking out of this earth early and leaving me at a young age, because he really helped me develop the compassion and empathy I have today for people in certain situations, especially the most vulnerable of us. So as much as that situation was horrible, I am very grateful that he blessed me with this compassion that, I struggle to give out all the time, but, I always have it in my heart. I always have this compassion and empathy in my heart. And I say that because there have been people, like when I share my story, there are people that, obviously most of the time they hide behind some kind of non-avatar. Their head's never in the avatar most of the time. And they just like to troll you. And they like to come at you and say, you're a moron. What are you, a professional victim? You're stupid for renting. Why don't you just buy a home? And I don't know these people's stories, and the few people that I've gotten into it and actually, tried to discuss what their story is and where I come from, you start to realize that a lot of these people that get to grow up with parents and get to live with their parents, or if anything happens, or if they have kids, their parents watch them, or, there's not too many people that struggle, like truly have some kind of insurmountable mountain put up in front of them, that get through that and don't develop compassion or empathy, that are that ruthless, that spit that much venom. And there's a lot of people that like to spit venom from, some mountaintop and pretend like they're better than other people. And in my replies, I just usually say, I hope there's somebody, you sound like a very compassionate person. There's my sarcasm. And then genuinely I say, I hope there's people that in your life love you. Because I think if there's people that truly love you in your life, they'll be honest with you. And they'll be like, hey, you're kind of a dick. I have people that have said that to me. And I know they love me. And I've said that to people. And I love them. So I think when you have honest people, you're not surrounded by yes men or people that fear you, you develop this honesty where you can kind of let each other know things. And I think some of those people live in echo chambers. And even if they don't, or if they have been through the struggle, just like we learned about Clarence Thomas, how he got to his position through affirmative action, and then I don't know if he was decimating it or what, but he was essentially kicking the ladder out behind him. And there are people like that, that are just selfishly greedy, evil people. And that exists here too. So there are people who have overcome the struggle and like to turn around and just be D-bags. But either way, I've realized in my time, especially being in radio, where you're subject, you put yourself in the middle of that kind of scrutiny, no matter what, especially when you're open and honest. I like to be open and honest about my situation. And people will call you a professional victim, and all I'm doing is sharing my struggle. That's really it. I guess I'm a professional victim. And he asked me, do you even work? I mean, it's funny, some of the things people need to justify crapping on others, But at the end of the day, I'm thankful I'm not that person. I'm thankful when I hear people are struggling or in these horrible, tragic situations. My first thought is like, God, I wish I had money to help. I don't have money, but what, is there something else I can do for you? And I'm not that other person. I'm grateful for that. Ample Thought, what's up? The forgiveness from today is $5.8 billion for 78,000 people. That's what I was going to talk about. So if you're a nurse, a firefighter, a cop, check your student loans because they might have been forgiven. Hopefully they were. If you watched John Oliver's Last Week Tonight about student loans, it's a nightmare. And personally dealing with it, I know it's a nightmare. These companies are tricky. The government's ruthless. And it's unfortunate, especially when you hear about, whenever I talk about the PPP loans, the business loans that were forgiven, people usually go, oh, well, the government forced them to close. And I go, or my conversation with those people is, well, would you agree that doctors and nurses got us through that pain, or we're not out of it, but basically saved lives and help us endure that? And I don't think anybody would disagree. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to be like, no, it wasn't the nurses, it was the politicians that got us through it, right? That's just to give it as common sense, right? Right? We can all agree on that. Like the healthcare workers saved our asses through that. So what I like to just bring up into conversational context to these people is, how do you think a lot of these people became doctors and nurses? I know we're forgiving business loans and everybody wants to defend businesses, but if you don't go to school and get a degree, you don't become a nurse or a doctor. And the fact that people fight against those loans being forgiven, the fact that, there's all this trickery and deception of like, go ahead, become a doctor, I'm paying for it, all that BS. It's like, Listen, if some of my taxes go to somebody who's eventually going to take care of me and my kids, I'm okay with it. I'd rather that than bombs. I'd rather that than, whatever corruption, whatever kind of funneling of money to businesses and then being forgiven, which we're on the hook for. I mean, I'd rather my money going to educating our people than anything else. Anything else. And that's a radical point of view. So it's funny how people will recognize that the healthcare people got us through this, but we don't want any more. We want people to have to go into massive debt to become a doctor, to have the healthiest population. And ironically, a lot of these people needed healthcare workers' help, or will need healthcare workers' help at some point in their life. But they want those people to be so stressed out over the debt they're incurring, maybe just not even go into that field because of how much it could cost. I mean, the irony. Do they hear themselves when they speak out loud? Jesus. Let's see. Hoops God. Hi. Hoops God. I will subscribe. Hey, thank you, man. You and everybody else who has subscribed in the past week have been my silver lining. So I thank you, Hoops God 6693. You help me get through every day. So thank you for subscribing, and hit the notification bell, because then you'll know when I go live. Because I can guarantee, or I don't want to guarantee, I give you my word, which is just as good. As they say in Tommy Boy, you can slap a guarantee on a box, but that, I don't know the rest of the quote. I'm Tommy Boying the Tommy Boy movie. Mother effer. I could slap a box on a guarantee. I could take a dump in a box and guarantee it that it's in a box, but that quote has been messed up, and I'll look it up for you so I can say it right. But I give you my word that 5 days a week, every weekday, I go live on the Class War, The Struggle. We're going to talk about Apple being sued, Steve Huffman, the CEO of Reddit, and I want to talk about Starbucks for a minute. But if you hit the notification bell, it will, it has to be your bull. No, that's it. If you stick your head up the bull's ass, you can. So if you hit the notification bell, I can't get too distracted. If you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified when I go live, because it could be at any point in the day, but it will be every weekday. Until we get that 32-hour work week and we all have Fridays off. Why aren't we doing that? It's so funny. It's like we could totally do that, but because corporations run this country, they want us working 7 days a week. Technology made it possible for us to work less, but ironically, corporations use it to make us work more. Now we're always on call. Now we always have to answer emails. Now you can always be accessible. That's what I miss about house phones. Like, if you weren't home, people did not bug you. If you don't remember the house phone. I was just thinking today, because I was talking to my son about seatbelts, and he was like, how old do I have to be to not wear a seatbelt? And it sparked a real weird memory. And I told him never. I said that for safety, and we just had a conversation about it. Because I've been in a bad car accident. I went through the airbag, the windshield. Doctors never thought my face would look the same. So I'm a big advocate. But related to that story of the car accident, I grew up in a time where seatbelts were still kind of optional. I remember when Massachusetts changed the law and they had a saying, click it or ticket. But mostly growing up, it was like, seatbelt if you want to. And if you were with kids, seatbelt if you're a wussy. I'm glad times have changed in that aspect. Not with payphones and home phones. So Starbucks has this thing called the Cup Fund. And I tell you this because my family's going through this devastating tragedy right now, this disaster that we're just trying to endure. That's why my live streams have been a little funky lately. So I applied to my works. It's called the Cup Fund, Caring Unites Partners. Cup Fund, right? What a good term for people that serve cups all day and create massive waste for cups. So it's called this fund. And if you're in some kind of situation like I am, medical costs, housing costs, oil, heating costs, whatever, you can apply for it. Just so you don't know, people outside of Starbucks. How the Cup Fund is funded, how this is funded, is strictly by workers. All the workers, when they make a purchase, they can donate the change to that Cup Fund. The company does not match it, does not put any money in. It is all filled up. The coffers are filled by the people who work there. strictly our own money. So we put into it. If you try to look up how much is in the cup fund, you can't find that total. We have no idea how much, and it's probably a lot. Starbucks on their website like to brag that they've helped thousands of people and spent 15 million giving it out. I think there's a lot more, because just with Starbucks records, when they say, hey, we police ourselves, we do ethical coffee sourcing, wrong. You were found to have child and slave labor. Like, the cops can't cop themselves. The police can't police themselves. No corporation is going to be like, oh, we're going crossing the line here, when they have to meet Wall Street's expectations, right? We can all agree on that. Like, they're not going to. This is why whistleblowers are a thing. And if you notice how they treat whistleblowers, pay close attention to that. They're not always loving and forgiving. So these corporations just hold them in contempt and a little suspect when they say, don't worry, we're on the up and up. We have an inside team that makes sure, we pay the people to make sure that we're on the up and up. So this cup fund with Starbucks, you can apply to. You can only get $1,000. So obviously that hasn't kept up with inflation. Because, and I need to say this before I go into it. I'm grateful this exists, okay? This is not a complaint for everybody who likes to go, oh, you just complaining. It's a critique. And if you don't freeze, okay.